All right, so today Susan McFarland is going to be speaking. Susan began her Coptic journey in 2008 with the World Service Order class. She completed all the courses and became a Coptic minister in 2011. She has taught the Coptic Self-Mastery course at the Coptic Center. She has been involved with the Children's Ministry, Coptic Center Committee, speaking and writing articles for the newsletter. Yay, hey, go Susan. Susan ended her 20-year career in business to stay home with her now teenage daughters. She has studied holistic health, homeopathy, medical massage, and yoga. She enjoys practicing yoga, writing, reading, and hiking. Her dream is to walk the Camino de Santiago after her youngest daughter graduates. Today, Susan is going to present on Emerge Simple.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to be here on Super Bowl Sunday and this cold winter day. Thank you, Jen and Nancy, for asking me to talk today. Thank you, Rose, for your wonderful words of wisdom from Hamid Bey. I'm very thankful you chose the word simple because I chose the word emerge. So as usual, we are in sync together. So because I like to incorporate a lot of Hamid Bey's teachings into my talks, as most of you know. So that was wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for Steve for hosting. And Alan, if you're still there, thank you for helping me get in. So with that, I'm going to start the talk today. And as I said, the title is Emerge Simple. And Rose covered the simple part. So I'm kind of going to focus more on the emerge part. And I wanted to start by taking a look at the word emerge. If anyone's familiar with the definition, it is to become apparent, important, or prominent. And my feelings from coming out of 2020 and into 2021 is that I have become apparent, or things have become important and prominent in my life that may or may not have been as important and prominent or apparent in the past. And I'm not sure if everybody feels this way, but some examples I have are health definitely is becoming more important since 2020, and then family. I've spent a lot of time with my teenage daughters and my husband in 2020 because they were all home, which they become very important. And also freedom is something that's become very important to me and very prominent. We took our freedoms for granted up until 2020, and now, that is something that's become very important in my life at this point. So I wanted to look at the definition, not only the definition, but the root of the word emerge. It comes from Latin word emerger, which means to bring to light. And I didn't really realize that when I started this talk or started this emerge simple idea, but I thought it was really interesting that we are, all light workers, and that emerge comes from the word to bring to light. And so I thought that was fascinating. And it got me thinking of winter to spring, where we see darkness to light, or death to rebirth, from a darkened state to a light state. So I like to have some interaction as well, so I may ask you some questions. So feel free to speak up if something comes to mind or triggers a thought or an idea or a concept. So please feel free to speak up if anything resonates with you that I'm speaking of. But from our lessons from 2020, I'm really focused on 2021 as being the year of emergence. And so with that, I'd like to start by reading a couple of Hamid Bey's quotes. One is from lesson 46, and I will read this to you. The constant trend and progression of human reason will eventually emerge into cosmic spiritual consciousness. So every little morsel of truth with a capital T, we gain by reading a book or a paper or attending lectures like a Coptic talk, will add that much to our knowledge. And since every bit of knowledge adds to our reason, we should reach out further and further into the mystery of truth, and thus gain greater understanding, greater realization of that which is by our own efforts. So I thought that was really interesting. Again, I did a search on the word emerge, and that was one of the things that came out to me and stuck out as meaningful to me. And I thought it's interesting because, as you can see, I have a lot of books behind me. I'm an avid book reader, and obviously I like to learn a lot from Hamid Bey, from the Coptics, from attending teachings and lectures and workshops and all that stuff. We all are here because we like that. And I thought it was interesting that Hamid Bey brings this into, this actually helps with our progression of our consciousness, which intuitively I thought that, but sometimes I wonder if I'm just searching outside of myself too much and not inside. So I like the validation that, yeah, it's okay to go outside and listen to people talk, get other perspectives, get other thoughts and ideas, and bring them into your own, what resonates with you. So anybody have any thoughts on that quote? You guys can be quiet.
I've got a friend out in California who says that you don't need to learn anything. You only need to remember what you knew as a soul.
There you go. And is what we're learning, what we take in, this is just a thought that came to mind, Alan, is that something that we've already known, and we're just bringing that out again, like remembering it.
Yeah, it's almost like we're not really learning, we're unlearning, right?
Right.
We spend our youth and our teenage years learning all this crazy stuff, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to unlearn it.
That is true. And the truth, yes, absolutely. The truth reveals itself in different ways as we get older. So the second reading I wanted to give from Hamid Bey is lesson 141. And it's talking about emerging into a new life. And it says, during this interim, which I thought was interesting coming out of our interim of 2020, something happened to me, which will happen to everyone. For the moment we go through transition, we emerge from this life to a new life. And so how many times in our life have we had an interim where we've emerged from one aspect to another, and ultimately will emerge into that consciousness, that cosmic consciousness? So I thought that was an interesting writing, considering it was very relevant today. And I'm sure, Steve, you run into that all the time with your review of Hamid Bey's writings of stuff that's so relevant to what we're going through today that was written 100 years ago or 80 years ago. I'm not sure. So I want to read to you. Today's my birthday. I'll share that with you. And I started a blog called Emerge Simple. And one of my first blog writings is what I'm going to read to you today. And it's called Simple Life. As the new year begins, I reflect on the lessons and learnings from a 2020. As a collective, we are all faced with living our lives from home. As an introvert, home is my sanctuary. Home is a reflection of our state of being. This was the first year I was focused on being in my home for extended periods of time. Because the world was in a state of flux, I needed my home to be a solid and steady force in my life. With the additional people and activities in my home, my teenagers who have been doing school from home for months, my husband who used to travel all the time and now is home all the time, space was needed to stay clutter-free. Before the pandemic began, we were advised to remain at home. My mother moved from her condo into assisted living at the end of 2019. For me, 2020 already started in a state of overflow. She was not a hoarder, but a house full of stuff remained after packing up selected items for her new space. January and February last year were spent disseminating what to do with each item that remained. As I handled each piece, memories of my life swirled in my head, bringing up emotions with them. So a lot of our items hold emotions, memories that we carry with us. It was overwhelming. Donating, selling, and acquiring the leftover pieces left me exhausted mentally, physically, and emotionally. As the virus raged, it left me home with my stuff. Schedules cleared and plans canceled. I had to face a house full of items that now belonged to me. The journey began. Weekly, I would gather items and donate them. Some pieces went to raise money for charities, and others went to Goodwill. Slowly, over a year, my house began to feel like my own again. Through this process, I've learned that your home is not a place, but a state of being. Your home is yourself. If you don't know where to start, begin with a meditation and how you want your personal space. Open spaces can be scary. 2020 has taught us that we need to re-examine our life and recondition our behavior. It's a journey that's yours, but you're not alone on it. It's a process that happens gradually, but not in one big effort. It's a daily practice of intentional living. So my keyword for 2021 is emerge. So with that, I wanted to read a couple more things from Hamid Bey. But did anyone have any thoughts on anything that happened to them in 2020 that as they transitioned and changed, any revelations or new ideas came to mind? Anything?
I guess I'll talk.
Thank you.
I found that with the year, first of all, it was really nice because I travel a lot, and I found it was really nice to be in one place for a long period of time.
I bet.
And it gave me a lot more time to go inward.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like the spiritual stuff is just so much faster. It's growing faster and faster in terms of the ability to let go or unlearn, as we were talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Things that are coming up. I'm sure, like with you, with your going through all the memories from your mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was probably a very healing experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of letting go. And like the more you do it, the easier it got. So it was, at first it was really hard, but just reliving your whole entire life, it was really interesting to heal through that. So yes, for sure.
Yeah. So it's been quite a ride, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So hopefully we can all emerge from that and find a place of light and peace. So the next thing I want to read from Hamid Bey is lesson 27. The mind is fed ideas, and as the ideas are assimilated and understood, the mind grows. So sooner or later, we can emerge from a state of confining ignorance to a state of illumination, a glimmer of our relation to God, because of the expansion of the mind. So I like that. That was very enlightening to me as well. So the next thing I wanted to read, one of my other blog posts was called Freedom. And as I said earlier, freedom after being in confinement for most of April and being home with my family and not being able to go anywhere, freedom became a really important thing for me. So I want to read a little bit about that. Freedom can be a place of discomfort. Freeing up space and time can bring unease. Our kitchen is being renovated, and that's currently happening right now. Renovations can be exciting and frightening at the same time. We let go of items and memories as we tear down the old to welcome the new. Kitchens are the heart of the home. My kitchen island, the heart of the heart, was removed. Memories of small children coloring, eating snacks, and doing homework flooded my mind. And my almost 18-year-old daughter tells me that she misses the fact that we don't have an island right now, which we're going to have one, but it's missing right now. So she's missing that experience, which is interesting. We have to destroy the old if we want the new. Destruction often is the cause of distress as we release the past. As my husband continued to chisel the backdrop, I sat in my office, this one right here, stunned, not knowing what to do without my calming habits of cleaning and clearing the kitchen. I felt alone and lonely. My natural rhythm was disrupted. Movement eases my mind, and the natural order of my day was dismantled. I resisted the normal distractions of leaving the house to go shopping and felt stifled. Yet sitting in the moment, I learned to be in the flow with my state as it is, and I continued to breathe. So that's one lesson that I've learned from 2020 and from letting go and from having my mom transition from living on her own to assisted living and then not being able to see her. It's just breath. Breath really just takes us back to the moment where we're at, keeps us grounded and centered. So let's all just take a deep breath. Helps everybody relax. So any thoughts on that? Anything that brought to mind or anything that stood out?
One thing that stood out to me is something that reminded me of a quote I read a long time ago, where every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction. Before a painter can create a masterpiece, they have to destroy the blank canvas.
Yeah, that's perfect. So true. All right. So
looks like Diane has something to say. Go ahead, Diane.
Oh yeah. I just had a comment that the absence of activity of being quarantined sort of gave us an opportunity, and I can see it in your thoughts that I never saw before. It gave us the opportunity to see what's actually going on in our lives this year. You know, it's kind of like the water level sank, and we could see everything that actually in our experience that's impacting us so much more, vibrantly.
That's
Just notice that. Yeah.
Very good point, because it brought everything to the moment. And we really, I remember this summer just sitting in my backyard watching the birds come to the feeder and just enjoying hours of just watching birds happening, which normally life is so busy and we're so full of activities and schedules that, you don't have that opportunity. So that's a very good point. So thank you for sharing that. So that's about all for my talk. I just wanted to thank you all for sharing this experience with me and letting me share some of my writings. And as I continue to emerge in 2020 and we emerge out of winter and into spring and out of the pandemic and hopefully into healthier and freer living, that we would all just, as Diane said, appreciate what's happening around us and being in that moment and really just, as the word emerge says, bringing something to light and being in the light and being the light. So with that, I thank you. Namaste.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Susan. That's wonderful. Really nice. Very inspirational. Are there any questions or comments for Susan?
Well, I'd like to say that I was in the World Service Order class that Susan was in 2008. I didn't realize how long ago that was. And I did not go right on and do all the other classes. And because of the pandemic, I reconnected. I've been, on a mailing list, and I've been a Coptic member all these years. And I've gone back once in a while for things that were occurring in Grand Rapids or at Olivet. And it's taken me this long to be able to take the time to actually study the booklets that I'd gotten. and you're talking about clutter. I feel like in some ways I'm getting more clutter because I keep getting more things to look at and read. But this year, I just feel with the pandemic, the need for the spiritual connection is so real. It's like I put it off, and now it's the time. There isn't any putting it off any longer. There isn't.
No.
Isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the energies that are coming in right now are just so strong and so powerful, and just really moving us into a higher state of consciousness. It's just amazing. So.
And happy birthday. And my birthday is this week also. So
Oh, happy birthday.
we have a lot more in similarities than
and we have matching sweaters on, it looks like.
I just noticed that too, that we're wearing the same colors.
And the birthday sweaters. Yeah.
and our hair is about the same length. We have more similarities than I realized. You're much younger than I am, though.
Probably not. My grays coming in. That's one thing I simplified in 2020 is I stopped coloring my hair. So
I am coloring my hair. If I weren't, I would be white.
I think it was 3 years ago I emerged simple, and you can see the color of my hair.
Well, just be lucky you have hair.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
Right, Steve. Good point.
I'm very thankful.
I have something to share. I might have shared it before, but for those who haven't heard it yet, as you know, I'm a numerologist, and I analyzed November 11th of last year, and it's very interesting because it's extremely powerful. And 1111 is a new beginning on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. That's the seed. Then we add 9 months and we come into August of next year. And I think that what we're going through here with COVID and all that, it's going to start leaving 9 months from that 1111, because that's the thing we're trying to change the cycle. And if we pray about the change coming in August, we are in line with the scientific aspect of what's going on here. So if we can all pray for a greater shift, because we're in another shift, as we well know, we don't have to go into that. But we have to know when we, the light workers, are farmers, we're planting the seeds, and we have faith that they're going to materialize positively. And we'll start a new, magnificent, positive cycle for the planet. So that's what I wanted to share. Some of you might have heard it, but if some of you haven't, I thought I'd share it tonight.
Thank you for sharing. Brings us hope.
Yeah.
I know for me, the last year has really helped me to do a personal inventory of what's important to me. And I'm really looking forward to the year coming, because I feel like I'm going to emerge in my own way on those core values and passions. So it's
Thank you, Autumn.